How's it going? Everyone feeling good? Ready to continue our stories? You know. Glad to have you back, Steph. Were you able to catch up with yesterday's stuff? I hope so. Today we will read a lot hopefully. Sweet Sophie Angel. The live picture book. I know that was from yesterday's class. One of the kids in class yesterday had a birthday this week, and so they did bubbles. Right? So cute. It was so cute. They had like a million bubbles everywhere. I took a video of her from behind so I can show you guys. They just had like a room full of bubbles. It was so cool. The kids loved it. Good morning. Hello. How's everyone's middle of the week? Good, bad, medium? Smiling in her sleep, which I guess is good, right? She must be having a good dream. Medium bad. Oh no. Wonder why? Why medium bad? That's not good. You had a good school day? That's excellent, Isabella. I'm glad to hear it. I am thrilled to hear it. We love a good school day. We really do. Just just not having it this week. I feel like if I didn't have you felt like you didn't have ADHD. Did they get you like appropriately medicated? Is that why? Yeah, we love positive news. It's true. Okay. You were just in the zone. Hey, that's fair. Yesterday for tonight's roll for slime, which is good. I think everything is ready to go. Pretty exciting. What is this? What do they want me to do? Now TikTok wants me to pin more things? Okay, fine. Well, why'd you make me unpin this one? I don't get it. Why? Sure, whatever, I'll go live 12 times, like, duh. I don't understand what they want from me. They're like, pin more stuff, but then when you try to pin one thing, it unpins the other one. I want this one to be pinned. So, that's it. This is the book we're reading. I don't know what to tell them. I over-purchased. It is exciting and bittersweet. I got the Lunch Stories box set from Kindle yesterday. It's so amazing. I have the whole thing too. Although I have the physical copies, not Kindle, but you know. I read almost exclusively on my Kindle now, but certain books I really like to have physical copies of, you know? Morning, Jen. especially ones that I think are going to become like bedtime books when the kids are older. You know what I mean? Like if I think I'm going to want to read it to them at bedtime, I think I want to have a physical book so we can like pass it around and stuff. I figure for that price, oh, for sure, 100%. I mean, like, also, they're not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. Like, some books are really expensive, but I feel like these are pretty reasonably priced. I was surprised to see, even on TikTok Shop, it's only like $9.99, you know? So I was pretty surprised by that. Okay, hold on. We're sitting down. We're trying. I know, her hair gets lighter literally every week now. It's so weird, you guys. Like, I just don't understand it. How she came out with hair my color, and it gets so, yeah, probably Isabella. I think that's probably true. You can't see it because you're not in the US, yeah. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. I mean, we've been talking about so many possibilities for the new baby. Because, okay, so this baby has my husband's coloring, but a lot of my facial features. Not all of them, but she has like a lot of them. You know what I mean? Like she has my eye shape, she has his mouth shape, she has my nose, but not broken, and my ears. I am, Rebecca, I am. And I was like, wouldn't it be funny if the new baby has my coloring but looks like him? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Almost black brown, now she's dirty blonde. I mean, look, she's gonna be dirty blonde probably, right? Look at her hair. Her hair was born this color. Look at this. Do you see the difference? She was born with this color hair. We have pictures of it. It makes no sense. She was born with my hair color. What is this? Whose baby is this? I mean, it's my baby, you know, but there's a crazy difference, right? This is not the same hair color anymore. Wild, wild. If you look back at pictures of us, like the first week she was alive, in my head next to hers, exactly the same hair color. She's totally a fairy. I mean, when she came out, the very first thing my husband said, I'm not even joking you, like before she was even fully out, he said, Sasha, she has your hair. Like that was the word that came out of his mouth. And now look. Like, I will never forget it because I didn't want her to have my hair because I hated it as a kid. Like, I hated being the only one in Southern California with, like, pitch black hair, you know what I mean? Like, other than the Asian kids in Irvine, but you know what I mean? And my siblings had lighter hair, everyone at school was blonde, and I was like, oh, come on, I don't want her to suffer like I did. She's not gonna. She's not gonna. She'll be light brown or dirty blonde, maybe blonde, who knows, right, at the rate she's going. But we don't know what the next one will be. We just don't know. So, Land of Stories, here it is. We are gonna finish up yesterday's chapter, which was, we only have like 2 pages left of it, but it was chapter 22 is what we're finishing, and the next chapters looked really short, so I think we can read like 3, like finish this one and read 2 more today, maybe? I don't know, what do you guys think? I think we can. We're so close to being done, you guys. Look, this is all we have left. It's crazy, right? Okay, let's finish it. Helen takes after me and Autumn takes after her dad. That's really cute. Okay. It was a few hours past sunset, and the magic harp had the tent all to herself. The twins had gone for a walk, and the others were gathered all around the campfire just outside, quietly talking amongst themselves. The harp gazed through the tear in the tent at the trolls and goblins camping all around her, and even though they had kidnapped her and forced her to play music, she couldn't help but feel sorry for them. No creature deserved to have its home destroyed in such a merciless manner. She wished that there was a way she could help the twins stop the enchantress, except for the obvious way.
The wand of wonderment was resting on a tree stump on the ground in front of the harp. She had been keeping as much of a distance from the wand as possible. Every time she saw it, a strange and alluring sensation swept through her, as if she was being magnetically drawn to it. The harp knew that she was meant to be a part of the wand. She just worried what her incorporation would cost her. So tragic, an airy voice in the tent said. I gave the troll queen a proper warning, so she really only has herself to blame. Esmea, the harp said, and she turned her face to see someone she hadn't seen in more than 100 years. Hello, Gloria, the enchantress said. It's been ages since I last saw you. You look wonderful. You haven't aged a day. Then again, I suppose that's one of the perks of being made of gold. The harp was neither timid nor scared. Unbeknownst to the others, the harp and the enchantress had history together. You should know, the harp said crossly, or has your memory spoiled as much as your soul? You're the one who transformed me to this instrument. Oh, was that me? Esmea said and playfully gestured to herself. The musician fell in love with me to leave you. You turned me into an object and captured his soul. I would be forced to live forever and spend eternity without him. How cruel, Esmea said. That does sound like something I would do, though. If the harp had tear ducts, Esmea would have caused tears to roll down her golden face. Why are you here, Esmea? The harp said. Are you tallying all the lives you've ruined? The enchantress smiled malevolently. Oh, no. I came to see that expression on your face. I've waited over 100 years to see those eyes filled with the bleakness of seeing your whole world crumble around you, she said. Because you were responsible for putting that same look into my eyes once. You still blame me for the musician's mistake, the harp said. Oh, please. The fault was shared, Esmea said. You let him pursue you even though you knew it was breaking my heart. You didn't think hurting me would have a consequence because, like the rest of the world, you thought I was powerful in ability, but weak in spirit. And now are you satisfied? The harp asked. Now that you've shown the world your evil capabilities, have you finally found your peace? I may not be fully satisfied yet, but I will be soon, Esmea said. Oh, I have big plans for this world. The harp shook her head, almost pitying the enchantress. No, Esmea, you will never be satisfied. Sorry, I had to. You think by robbing other people of their bliss, you'll find your own, but it doesn't work that way. You'll be searching for your happiness your entire life, but you'll never find it, because you wouldn't know happiness even if it scratched you in the face. The enchantress's eyes grew wide with anger. Her hair was rapidly flowing above her head like an aggressive flame. The harp might have infuriated her, but she was delighted by the feeling. Esmea smiled as her spirit absorbed the emotion and her body became stronger. Well, thank you, Esmea said. I have a big day tomorrow and I really needed that boost. But, one thing before I go. If I do search forever for bliss, I'm so glad you'll be around to see me do it. The enchantress vanished then from the tent without a trace. The remark was like a knife in the heart to the harp. She couldn't bear the thought of watching Esmea's wrath evolve for all time. She looked down at the wand of wonderment and reached toward it. She was ready to sacrifice whatever she had to so that Esmea did not win. Woof. Woofity woof. The next chapter is called The Eighth Dwarf. It's chapter 23. I'm going to take a quick sip of coffee first since we're changing chapters. She will never be satisfied. Okay. Now that we know Esmea is Angelica, or Hamilton, depends, we shall continue on our chapters. Chapter 23, The Eighth Dwarf. A horrible storm moved through the dwarf forests. A rain poured down in massive amounts. The trees bent in the violent wind, and thunder roared across the land. It was as if Mother Nature was in mourning. The 7 dwarfs were nestled warmly in their cottage. They played a game of cards and enjoyed some hot cocoa at their table while they waited out the storm. It was almost midnight when an unexpected knock came to their door. The dwarfs were very curious as to who would be visiting them so late at night during such a harsh storm. In fact, the last person to knock on their door had been the queen, Snow White herself, when she was just a young princess trying to hide from the evil queen. The oldest dwarf stood from the table and opened the door. He was taken aback to who their guest turned out to be. Standing on the doorstep, soaked to the bone in a dark cloak, was the 7 dwarfs' youngest brother. "Hello," Rumpelstiltskin said. "Oh, I'll be an elf's mistress," the oldest dwarf said. It had been 127 years since the dwarfs had seen their youngest brother. "Rumpelstiltskin? Is that you?" the shortest dwarf asked as he stood from the table. "It's me, brother," Rumpelstiltskin said. "May I come in?" The oldest hesitated at first, but because the weather was so horrid, he decided it would be cruel of him not to let his brother in. And Rumpelstiltskin took a step inside of his old home, and the oldest shut the door behind them. "It's beastly out there," he said with a shiver, and all 7 of the brothers scowled at him, not welcoming his home return. "Playing with the old deck, I see. Oh, I always loved it when we brothers would play cards through a storm." His brothers stared at the floor or at their hand of cards, although none of them were playing anymore. "I saw the smoke coming from your chimney," Rumpelstiltskin said. "It guided me here through the storm. Thank goodness it did, otherwise I would be out there trotting through the rain." "Why are you here?" the largest dwarf asked him, and Rumpelstiltskin looked at his hands while he formed the words. I snuck away while the enchantress was out. I'm sure that you've heard she's trying to take over the world," he said. And the oldest dwarf hooted under his breath in disgust and had a seat at the table. Rumpelstiltskin knew that that sound was aimed at him. "She isn't very clear about her plans for the dwarf forest, and it has no ruler to conquer it, but I do think she's planning on obliterating it completely," he said. "I'm fairly close to her, well, as close as anyone can be, and I was hoping with your permission I could ask her to spare you when she takes over." "Why would you do that?" the thinnest dwarf asked. Rumpelstiltskin was hurt that he even had to be asked. "Well, because we're family." The oldest angrily threw his cards onto the table. "No, we were family," he said. "You abandoned this family a long time ago when you decided we weren't good enough for you. And what did you leave us for? To kidnap children? For evil fairies? To spend a lifetime in prison? How dare you call yourself a dwarf or say the word family under this roof? Mother and father would be ashamed of you if they were still alive." Rumpelstiltskin lowered his head. "I was so unhappy," he said. "I didn't know what I wanted. I just knew that it wasn't life as a miner." "So, have you found it then?" the shortest dwarf asked. "Is running around doing the evil enchantress's grunt work everything you were hoping for?" Rumpelstiltskin closed his eyes. He was hoping this conversation wouldn't come to this. "I'm sorry for all the embarrassment that I brought to the family," he said. "And believe me, not a day goes by that I don't wish I could erase the past. I would love nothing more than to get rid of my affiliation with her, but I am afraid I can't, all because of one mistake I made years ago." The oldest dwarf shuffled his cards. "Yeah, well, it was your mistake, not ours. We'll have nothing to do with it, and you can tell the enchantress that we would rather die than live in a world ruled by her." Rumpelstiltskin looked to his other brothers, but the answer seemed to be unanimous. "I see," he said. "Well, at least I tried." He headed to the door and pulled it open. Strong winds from the outside instantly filled the cottage, and Rumpelstiltskin turned back to his brothers before he left. He had one final thing to say. "I'm sorry I could never be the brother that you wanted," Rumpelstiltskin said. "But one day I'll make things right between us. One day I'll be a brother that you can be proud of." And Rumpelstiltskin then stepped into the storm and shut the cottage door behind him, knowing very well that could be the last thing he ever said to them. Heartbreaking. Oh my God. That was a very short and tumultuous chapter. My gosh. Oh, goodness. Goodness gracious. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Well, next up, chapter 24, The Lady of the East. This is what she looks like for anyone who's curious. The Lady of the East. And for those keeping track for their Goodreads, we are on page 428, chapter 24. The twins followed the ghost for hours and hours across the land. They traveled through a series of forests, over streams, across grassy hills, as they voyaged farther and farther, following the spirit into the east. Occasionally, the ghost would look back at the twins to make sure they were still following her, and then she would wait for them to catch up before proceeding. Eventually, they arrived at a large river marking the Eastern Kingdom's border. At least then the twins assumed it was the border, since everything on the opposite side was currently consumed in thorn bushes and vines. She's crazy if she thinks we're going in there, Connor said, and the Lady of the East floated upstream to a large maple tree. She lingered by its roots until the twins met her there, and she pointed to the ground, and the twins saw a small circular door hidden in the dirt. Connor pulled it open and discovered a ladder leading down into a tunnel. It's a secret passage, Alex said. Are we supposed to go in there? Connor asked the ghost, and the Lady of the East slowly nodded her head. She retracted into a small ghostly orb and flew into the passage. Alex and Connor followed her, cautiously making their way down the ladder. The tunnel was dark and dingy. The orb gave off the only light, and the twins followed it like a north star as it continued leading them east underground. The dirt surrounding them became almost moist and muddy as they traveled below the river. She seems to know where she's going, Connor said. This must be the secret entrance to the Eastern Kingdom, Alex said. Something tells me that we're the only ones who have been in here for a very long time. There were no footprints, or even a single insect or rodent in sight. The twins were led through the tunnel for miles and miles. Their feet grew tired, and they ached a little more with every step. Oh my God, are we there yet? Connor asked the orb, but he did not get an answer. And then finally, the tunnel came to an end with another ladder. Alex and Connor climbed up the ladder and peeked through another circular door above it. They pushed the door open and climbed out of the passage. The twins found themselves in a square room with hay covering the ground and spacious wooden stalls built all around the walls. Looks like we're in a stable, Connor said. Okay, then where are all the horses? Alex asked, and the orb expanded back into the Lady of the East. She glided across the stable through a pair of open wooden doors. Alex and Connor followed her again, peering through the doors before walking through them. They found a stone spiral staircase that twisted high above them. Connor, I think we're in Sleeping Beauty's castle, Alex said, and the Lady of the East glared at them from the stairs. Okay, we're coming, Connor said, and the twins followed the ghost up the stone steps, climbing higher and higher into the castle. They finally reached one of the highest floors and followed the Lady of the East down a hallway with stained glass windows. The windows were dark, though, as if something was covering them from the other side. They passed a window with an unobstructed view and looked out at the rest of the castle and the land surrounding it. Alex shrieked and grabbed her brother's arm. Oh my gosh, she said, and covered her mouth. Whoa, Connor said under his breath. The castle was so consumed by the enchantress's plants that it looked like one large plant itself. The thorn bushes and vines had wrapped around the castle, leaving nothing uncovered. The twins saw soldiers and servants and villagers spread across the land with vines coiled all around them like serpents covering their prey. Some were pinned to the ground while others were suspended hundreds of feet in the air over the castle, like ornaments on a monstrous Christmas tree. Wow, you don't see something like that every day, Connor said softly, and the twins turned to the Lady of the East. She floated further down the hall and phased through a door. Alex and Connor opened the door and walked into the room, but the ghost had vanished. They looked all around the room that they had just entered. A large, luxurious four-poster bed was pushed up against the wall, and it caught their eye. They were in the King and Queen's chambers. Who are you? A deep voice called out. King Chase was seated by the fireplace, keeping warm. The twins jumped when they saw him. Oh my gosh, we are so sorry to disturb you, Alex said. We didn't realize that we were walking into your private chambers. And the king studied them curiously. How'd you get into the castle? He asked. We were following someone, Alex said. Who? King Chase asked. Neither of the twins had an answer. They weren't sure. We're not sure who exactly, Alex said. A pushy ghost, that's who, Connor said under his breath. She led us here through a secret tunnel. The twins expected the king to look at them like they were crazy, but he did just the opposite. A ghost, King Chase said. Is this ghost by chance the spirit of a woman with a flower in her hair? Yes, Alex said. Do you know who she is? And King Chase nodded. Yes, you must have been following the ghost of old Queen Beauty. She's been haunting this castle for years. Queen Beauty? Connor asked with a confused face. Oh, we just saw your wife last week. She's alive. Chase rested his head on the back of his chair and let out a long sigh of relief. Oh, I'm glad to hear that she's alive, he said. I haven't seen or heard from her since she fled the castle. No one's been able to get in touch with her or get out since the plants attacked. Wait, so there are 2 Queen Beauties? Connor asked, and King Chase stood, walked to a portrait on the wall. It was of a beautiful woman, unmistakably the Lady of the East when she had been alive. The ghost is the spirit of my wife's grandmother, Queen Beauty the First, who, well, she was named after. King Chase explained. Historically speaking, my wife is Queen Beauty the Second. The world just knows her as Sleeping Beauty. That's why she looked so familiar, Connor said. Sleeping Beauty does look just like her grandmother. The ghost only reveals herself to people she thinks she can help in times of need, King Chase said as he eyed the twins. I should know. I would never have kissed Sleeping Beauty and broken the sleeping curse if Queen Beauty hadn't been there to guide me to this castle. Interesting, Alex said as she studied the portrait. Beside it was another painting of Queen Beauty standing next to a large animal of some kind. It had thick fur, large claws, and a mane like a lion's. Wait a second. Beauty, Alex thought. Wait. Is old Queen Beauty the Beauty from the story Beauty and the Beast? Indeed, the voice of a woman said, and the twins and King Chase turned to see the ghost of old Queen Beauty floating toward them. I came to live in the castle when I was a very young woman. I was meant to settle my father's debt with a king cursed to live as a hideous beast, but when I fell in love with him, the curse was lifted, and he became human again. The twins froze. You can talk? Connor asked. Might have been nice if you explained to this the first time you came and scared the crap out of me. I apologize for my methods of getting you here, Beauty said. I can only speak when I'm in my old home. Alex was fascinated by the heritage and silently thought on it, trying to make sense of everything. So there were 2 curses in this castle, both broken by an act of love, Alex said. Wow, what a coincidence. That's not a coincidence at all, I'm afraid, Beauty said. The curses were cursed by the same person, Esmea. Both twins shook their head in disbelief. They weren't expecting that twist in the story. Wait, hold on, Connor said. Esmea is the one who turned your husband into a beast? The ghost nodded somberly. Oh yes, she said. You see, Esmea fell in love with my husband long before I met him, and when he could not reciprocate her love, she cursed him, thinking that no one could ever love a beast. And then you broke the spell years later, and she cursed your granddaughter, Alex said. Guess she didn't like the name Beauty, Connor said with a shrug. The enchantress has cursed every generation of my family, Beauty told them. She bewitched my son into desiring a wife who could spin hay into gold. He eventually found a maiden who claimed to do so, but only because she made a deal with Rumpelstiltskin to do it for her. And Rumpelstiltskin was working for Esmea at the time, Connor said, piecing everything together. He spun the hay into gold in exchange for her firstborn child. Wait, there's a theme in Esmea's attacks on your family, Alex said. They all involve a spinning wheel. But why? Before I came to live in the castle with the beast, my sisters and I spun thread in a nearby village, Beauty said. Esmea couldn't stand the fact that my husband chose to love a spinner rather than a great fairy like herself. She'd forced the spinning wheel upon my family ever since. That takes an awful lot of effort, Connor said. Why would she put so much energy into cursing your family because of something that happened so long ago? The twins could almost see a small smile appear on the ghost's face. The twins were following her story perfectly. Because the enchantress, above all things, values her pride, Beauty said, and my family has always been a reminder of the greatest loss and embarrassment Esmea's had. The twins felt their hearts skip a beat. Her pride, Alex said. That's it. That's the enchantress's most prized possession. That's why you brought us here, isn't it? Connor asked Beauty. You knew what we needed all along. The ghost of old Queen Beauty nodded again. King Chase was just as caught up in her story as the twins were, still learning things about the family that he had married into. Excuse me, I have a question, King Chase said. Is that why you haunt the castle still, because you're protecting your family against the enchantress? The ghost dismally lowered her head. In her scheme to take over the world, the enchantress imprisoned my husband's soul, just as he has your grandmother, Beauty said to the twins. I've walked the earth waiting for his soul to be freed so I can be reunited with him on the other side. What's up with all the souls anyway? Connor asked. Can't she just collect stamps or antiques like a normal person? I'm afraid I don't have answers to that question, Beauty said, but I've asked someone who will join us. The ghost of old Queen Beauty gestured behind them to a fireplace, and another spirit stepped out of the smoke into tiny flame. It was the ghost of a short woman who wore a hooded cloak and was hunched over with a cane. Her face was so wrinkled that she looked like a log. She had an incredibly small nose with an enormous mole next to it. The twins knew who she was without any introduction. Their father had described her perfectly in the journal that they followed a year ago. Hagatha? Alex asked. Is that you? Wait, so the beast is the man in the mirror? No, the beast is not the man in the mirror. The man in the mirror was a boy from the village that Evely fell in love with before Esmia adopted her. The beast is the king that's stuck in the jar that the enchantress has. I know, it gets a little confusing. Aye, Hagatha said and slowly made her way closer to them. Do you know why the enchantress is collecting souls? Connor asked her, cautiously. Aye, Hagatha said. It's what she needs to create a portal into the other world. What? Alex asked breathlessly. What do you mean, the other world? Oh, you're totally fine, Jen. Don't even stress. The enchantress never wanted just this world. She has always planned on taking over the other world as well, Hagatha said. It's her home. It's where she was born. It's where her family was killed. The twins couldn't believe what they were hearing. As if the stakes weren't high enough already, learning that the enchantress wanted to take over their world too made them sick to their stomachs. The quest suddenly became a mission to save 2 worlds. The mayhem she could cause the other world would be catastrophic compared to the havoc that she had committed here. But our grandmother's the only person who can travel between the worlds, Alex said, and Hagatha and Beauty exchanged a remorseful look. There is another way, Hagatha said. Something I learned when I was a young witch. It was such an extreme spell that I never thought anyone would be crazy enough to attempt it, until I met Esmia. And you gave it to her? Alex asked. I met her when she was still a fairy in good standing, Hagatha said in her own defense. She'd been heartbroken a number of times and asked me if I knew how to create a portal so she could go home to the other world. And not thinking much of it, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I told her. What was it? Connor asked. Hagatha let out a long sigh. To travel to the other world, you must first master the 7 deadly sins of this world. Conquer its past, present, and future, she said. It was the most intense collecting spell the twins had ever heard of. So she has to master the 7 deadly sins? Alex said. To conquer this world's past, present, and future? Connor asked. How does someone do that? Esmia spent a long time figuring it out, and unfortunately she is very close to completing it, Hagatha said. What are the 7 deadly sins again? Connor asked his sister, and Alex had to think about it. Lust, envy, pride, greed, gluttony, sloth, and wrath, I believe, she said. And Connor gulped. Sounds like the enchantress, all right, he said. And you said she's close to accomplishing all of that, Hagatha? The ghost of the witch nodded. Esmia has imprisoned the soul of her former loves to signify her lust. She strips others of their happiness to signify her envy. Having Rumpelstiltskin under her command connotes her sloth. And she slowly takes over this world with greed and gluttony. The world's exposed to the enchantress's wrath, and this then satisfies her pride, Hagatha added. But, how is she conquering the world's past, present, and future? Alex asked. By destroying the kingdom's historical landmarks, the enchantress has conquered their past, Hagatha explained. By forcing the rulers to hand over their thrones willingly, Esmia undeniably holds the power over their present. And by kidnapping the heir to the throne of man, the heir to the throne of magic, she then encompasses the future. The twins bobbed their head up and down as if they were following along. They looked over at King Chase, but he was having an even harder time comprehending it than they were. Every move Esmia had made from the very beginning had been carefully calculated. Okay, so Princess Hope is the heir to the throne of man, Connor said. That's why Esmia kidnapped her and tried to kidnap Sleeping Beauty as a baby? Yeah, but who's the heir to the throne of magic? Alex said. That is where the Enchantress has made her greatest mistake, Hagatha said, happy to tell them the one advantage they had over the Enchantress. She has taken the wrong person. The twins didn't understand what she was telling them at first, and Connor looked over at his sister as it slowly dawned on him, and Alex realized everyone in the room was looking at her. Me? Alex asked and pointed to herself. That's why the Enchantress wanted to kidnap me? She thinks I'm some sort of heir to magic? Well, technically you are the fairy godmother's only heir. You're her grandchild too, Alex reminded him. Shouldn't that qualify you just as much as me? Connor shook his head. Come on, Alex, he said. You know I never wanted to be a fairy. That's always been, like, your thing. Alex shook her head and looked to the floor, not wanting to believe it. No. There has to be some sort of mistake, she said. I want to be a fairy just as much as the next girl, but I can't be the next fairy godmother. Didn't the unicorns bow to you when you came to this world? Beauty asked. Well, yeah, but what does that have to do with anything? Alex asked. The unicorns only bow to those that magic is strongest within, Hagatha said. Esmia knew that if anyone could stop her, it would be a woman who was also of both worlds with magic in her blood. Hey. Hi, my angel. Good morning. Hi, beautiful. Hi. Hi. Did you have a good rest? Did you have a good sleepies? You want more sleepies or you want to go play? You're awake? You want to play? Which is why Grandma made such a deal about protecting us, Connor said. She knew that Esmia was going to be coming after you. I bet she's known all along that you were going to fill her shoes and you activated the Land of Stories book. Alex kept trying to deny her to herself, but they were saying things that made a lot of sense. It was such huge reality to face, but an even bigger burden to bear. Okay, you want out? Okay, we can go to the table, to the mat. Let's go to the mat. That's okay. That's okay, sweetheart. Let's go. We'll go to your play mat. You want to play? You want to play. You want to play. You want to play, my sweet baby girl. Woo! You have a mommy hair on your face. Gross. Sorry about that. Mommy's hair didn't mean to go on your face. I'm just getting my coffee and our friends. Let's go. Okay. Okay. Are we ready for Tower of Terror, friends? In 3, 2, here we go. We are just about 8 weeks along. Thank you for asking. I know it's early, but we're very excited. Hopefully, things will progress. It is something that's been messing with my head a little bit because I forgot how early pregnancy basically feels like nothing, and it's a little bit scary to feel like nothing because you're like, is everything okay? You have no idea. There's no way for you to know, right? Until you can start feeling things, which is like forever from now. Like, I don't look any different. I don't feel any different. I don't know. Anyway, let's keep going. Had the situation been different, it would have been the most wonderful news she had ever heard in her life, but they were talking as if now she was single-handedly responsible for defeating the Enchantress. You have to get back to the others, another voice in the room said, and they all turned to see a third ghost appear. She was young and pretty, but shy and kept her distance. There was something familiar about her presence and her voice. The twins thought they had so many things to think about, but they couldn't think exactly who she reminded him. Just take it day by day and remember that anxiety. Well, yeah, it's very common, I think. I'm definitely not the only pregnant woman dealing with that, that's for sure. So I'm trying to just be like, it's fine, everything is fine, it's fine. We saw them on the ultrasound, we heard their heartbeat. Whoever they are, they seem fine. It's all good. The new, sorry, this room is getting more crowded by the minute, Connor said. Who are you? The new ghost took a minute to answer as if she wanted to remain anonymous. They called me Gloria when I was alive, she said, but she quickly changed the subject. You've been gone for hours and your friends have started to worry. The Enchantress is planning another attack soon, so you must return to them and finish building the wand. Whoa, wait. How do you know about the wand? The ghost of Gloria went quiet. I know you're much closer to finishing it than you think, she said softly, almost sad to say it. Now you must hurry. Esme is planning to strike very soon. You want to play your trumpet again for everybody? I say it's going to be... We're definitely going to take guesses again before we reveal it, but he wants to do like some kind of gender reveal thing. We don't know yet either, so I mean, I can't even accidentally tell you because we don't know. She's right, Beauty said, and she floated past the twins and headed to the door. It's time that you head back to the troll and goblin camp. The twins nodded, not wanting to cause Bob and the others to worry more than they already had. Children, King Chase said before they left his room, if you see my wife, will you please tell her that I love her? No, Connor said, but you can tell her yourself the next time you see her. The world is this baby's stage, that's true. He and King Chase shared a hopeful smile. Well, best of luck to you both, the king said. The twins followed the ghost of old Queen Beauty out of the room. She escorted them down the spiral staircase through the stables and into the secret passage. The twins ran down through the tunnel as fast as they could, reaching the other ladder in half the time it took them to get there. They quickly hurried through the trees, over streams, across the hills, and finally reached the woods alongside the campsite as the sun began to rise. They turned back to the ghost of old Queen Beauty. Hey, thank you, Alex said. You helped us so much. The ghost nodded silently and then disappeared. They could tell that she was grateful to them just as much as they were to her, and the twins ran through the campsite and found Bob and Froggy sitting at the campfire outside of their tent. That was the longest walk I have ever heard of, Bob said to them when he saw them. Where have you two been? We were worried sick, Froggy said, and he leapt up to his feet. Listen, we were in the Eastern Kingdom, Connor panted. We have so much to tell you guys. And Alex looked around. Hey, where is everyone anyway? She asked. Froggy and Bob looked at each other with sorrowful eyes. The twins instantly knew that something bad must have happened while they were gone. What's wrong? Connor asked. Froggy didn't know how to explain it. Well, come have a look for yourselves, he said. And he led the twins inside the tent. There, the twins saw Jack kneeling sadly on the ground. Goldilocks was standing at his side, gently rubbing his back. Red sat next to Jack and cuddled Claudius tightly in her arms. What happened? Alex said. It's the harp, Goldilocks said. She's gone. What do you mean she's gone? Connor said. She's part of the wand now, Jack said. We came into the tent and we found it like this. Jack was clutching the wand of wonderment. It had a shiny new golden tint to it, exactly the shade of the harp. Red used part of Goldilocks' coat as a handkerchief to blow her nose. Poor dear, she said. Well, I suppose the singer has taken her final bow. I never thought we would lose her completely to it, Jack said, fighting back the emotions that suddenly rushed into him. I wish that we'd have had more time to figure out a better way. But Alex and Connor looked at each other, knowing exactly what the other was thinking. Gloria, Connor whispered to Alex. The harp. Her name was Gloria. Alex watched over her sad friends and took a step toward them, deciding now was the best time to tell them what they had learned from the spirits in Sleeping Beauty's castle. The harp's loss won't be in vain, she said. We finally know what we need to defeat the Enchantress. Wow. Wow, sweetheart. That was a crazy 2 chapters. Let's see how long this next one is. Do you think we can get through it? It's not that long. It's not that long. Chapter 25 is called Rock, Root, and Rage. We're on page 444, and it ends on page 453. It's not even 10 pages. Do you think we can do it? We should try. I agree, Jen. Okay. Chapter 25. She seems like she's in a good mood. Like, why not, right? She had a big breakfast, so she should be fine. Well, first breakfast, you know. She had more than 3 ounces, which is her usual. How do you like the new pump? Actually, I love the new pump. It feels, it's just different, you know? It's just different. That's what it comes down to. Hey, Liz. Yeah, I compared the pieces, like looked at them with the other one, and it just, I can't really pinpoint it because I'm not like a machine expert or anything, but it definitely, it has like, I don't know, it's like got more silicone and less hard parts. And I don't know if that just makes it more comfortable. I don't know. I genuinely don't know the answer. But it does, it's nice. Yeah, it's definitely more comfortable. For sure. Yeah, I like it a lot. I like it a lot. It's such a shame, guys. I say this all the time. I love every Mom Cozy product except for their baby carriers. Like, why did they have to go and make crappy baby carriers to like ruin their run? They could have had a good run and just everything could have been good from them. You know what? That's not true. I have one of their bras and I don't like their bra. So not everything. But all of the like physical products that I use, the bottle washer, the bottle warmer, their wipes, now the pump, all good. Don't like the bra, don't like their carriers. So no fabric products. Don't go to them for fabric. Everything else is okay. Would you like this? Can I interest you in this block? Apparently yes. All right, anyway. Chapter 25. The golden arches and pillars of the fairy palace barely contained the anxiety growing inside them. The 7 colorful fairies of the fairy council paced all around the main hall away from their respected podiums. Respected? Shouldn't it be respective? Anyway, respected podiums, desperately trying to come up with an overdue solution to the crisis at hand. A whole territory has been destroyed, Xanthos said. The flames on his head and shoulders were flickering wildly. We need to find her. Every corner of the kingdom has been searched twice. There is still no trace of her, Emeralda said. But what would we even do if we did find her? Skyline asked. We're no match for the enchantress. Our magic is useless against her, Rosette added, and she grows more powerful every day. But we must do something. We must do anything, Xanthos demanded. The world is counting on us. Tangerina had grown tired of his complaining. Even her bees were irritated, and they flew around her beehive with their stingers out. Well, then why don't you think of something for us to do, she said. We've all been here for days trying to come up with some practical solution. It's not like we're keeping anything from you. Well, if we can't come up with a practical solution, then I suggest we come up with an impractical solution, Xanthos half-heartedly suggested. Let's fight her at her own game. Who cares about honoring fairy values at this point? The flames on Xanthos' shoulders flickered faster as he thought about it. The world has always looked to us to handle its troubles with peace and understanding. We cannot abandon these morals now. That's what the enchantress wants us to do, Emeralda said. You can't extinguish fire by adding more flame. You, of all people, should know that, Xanthos. Ooh, mic drop from Emeralda. Mic drop from Emeralda. Can't fight fire with fire, baby girl. No, no, no. You think that's funny? Do you think that's funny? And if we can't use our magic to stop her, let's gather all the witches and warlocks from the Dwarf Forest and Pinocchio prison and have them defeat her, he proposed, and Emeralda massaged her forehead. You want to set loose all the witches and warlocks that we imprisoned? She asked him, and Xanthos' flames diminished as he slumped. She didn't have to elaborate for him to realize how bad of an idea that was. It was a bad idea, huh, honey? Hi. Hi, are you crawling backwards? Are you crawling backwards? Yes, yes. High five? Can I have a high five? High five? Oh, thank you. That's very nice. That's very nice. One more high five? High five? Thank you. Thank you. Oh, man, she's funny. Any more bright ideas? Tangerina asked him, and Xanthos turned to respond to her, but he had nothing to say. They were at a dead end. What if we can't come up with an answer? Coral asked in a tiny voice, cuddling her pet walking fish. Will all of us perish if we can't stop her? The situation had finally reached a point that forced them to consider the consequences of failing. Emeralda eyed her fellow fairies, angered by their sudden hopelessness. Shame on all of you, Emeralda said, and she walked around the room and stared at each of them directly in their eyes as she passed them. We're the Fairy Council. If we lose hope, all hope for the rest of the world is gone, as good as gone as well. We cannot spend another moment humoring thoughts of failure. As long as someone remains standing with a noble heart, we will always have a way for good to triumph over evil. The other fairies looked around at one another, inspired by Emeralda's words. Moments like this were the reason why Emeralda was the head of the Fairy Council. A small magenta flame abruptly appeared in the floor in the main hall. It came out of thin air and didn't appear to be burning anything but the air around it. Esmeralda gazed and cautiously stepped away. "Oh, brace yourselves," she said, and her eyes grew large. "We're about to have company." With a giant blast, the purple flame rapidly grew into roaring magenta fire that covered the entire room. The fairies screamed and shielded themselves from the blaze. A split second later, the flame vanished, and the enchantress appeared. The fairies froze with fear. Esmea always knew how to make an entrance. "It's good to be home," Esmea laughed, and she looked around the room at the frightened faces of her old peers. "For people who thought I was dead, you never look happy to see me." Esmeralda was the only fairy brave enough to address her. "Why have you come, Esmea?" The enchantress ignored the question. "Oh, look," Esmea said happily, and she strutted to a forgotten golden chair that had been pushed to the side of the room. "It's my old seat from when I was on the fairy council. Do you remember those days?" "Yes, you've certainly shown your true colors since," Esmeralda said. "You act as if you're all so faultless in this," Esmea sneered. "I can see right through your pathetic facade of a perfect loving family. Oh, how spiteful you can be when no one's looking. I sat in this room for hours every day trying to make the world a better place just as much as the rest of you. But why did you target me with your cruelty? Why was I treated so poorly by the people who were supposed to be perfect?" "Because you became vindictive," Esmeralda said. "No." Esmea shook her head. "It was because I became better. I was more powerful, more gifted, and more liked than any of you could ever be. When the fairy godmother announced me as her heir, you acted as if I had done something horrible to you. She put me on a pedestal and you isolated me there." "Yeah, is that crazy or what, honey?" "Yeah. Yeah. 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 "Your ability grew, but so did your ego," Esmeralda said. "You thought you were above all of us, and you even renounced your title as a fairy." "No, you are the one who renounced me long before I ever did." Esmea stared and glared at her. "You ignored me, excluded me, and hated me from the moment that I arrived. The world may be convinced that you had nothing to do with the change of career I had, but I will always know the truth. You made it impossible for me to be anything but disdained." The enchantress ran a finger along the arm of her old chair, remembering all the painful memories of her time as a fairy. "The cruelest thing that you can do to someone is force them to hurt alone. And you left me hurting on my own many times," Esmea said. "Every time I was heartbroken, I would go to the rest of you hoping to receive some compassion, but you let your jealousies get in the way of showing me any sympathy. You actually enjoyed watching me suffer, relishing in the fact that something was distressing me." Esmeralda was surprised at the enchantress and the other fairies at what she said next. Oh, do you want some help? Do you want some help? Because Mommy has to reread that line because I read it wrong. Do you want your bears? Do you want to go see your bears? Look. Who's that? Who are these? Are these your bears? Look at them. Here, look. Who are these guys? Who are these guys? Is that a bear? Wow. Can you get it? Here. You want to get a little closer? Mommy will help you. There you go. Okay. She's fascinated by those things. What actually says is, Esmeralda surprised the enchantress and the other fairies with what she said next. She did not deny the claim. "Yes, I admit we were guilty of being less than perfect at times," Esmeralda said. "But as we've grown from our mistakes, you have only grown in your mistakes." Esmea snorted and slowly clapped in Esmeralda's direction. "Touche," the enchantress said. "You managed to admit that you were wrong and scold me all in one breath. You're good at this leadership thing. No wonder they replaced me with you, Em." "I was not a replacement," Esmeralda said. "You were never what the council needed." "No, I was never what the council wanted," Esmea said sharply. "They chose you, Esmeralda, because you're more beautiful, and the world has always listened to a pretty face over an average one. And even though I changed my appearance and gained beauty over time, they still chose you over me because you were easier to control. You were the fairy godmother's puppet that I could never be." Esmeralda returned her scornful stare. I'd rather be a toy than a tyrant, Esmia, she said. But I'm assuming you didn't come here to reminisce, so what brings you to our kingdom? A small grin appeared on the enchantress's face. She was delighted to get a rise out of this fairy. The truth is, I've become rather bored with waiting for you and the other rulers to gradually hand over their kingdoms to me, Esmia said, taking a seat on her old chair. I've decided to invite them all to a new home I'm building for myself and just get it all over with. I'm anxious for this whole thing to conclude just as much as the rest of you are. None of us are going anywhere with you, Xanthos said, and his flames rose. A cunning smirk grew on the enchantress's face. Oh, yes, you are, she said. It's not an option. The enchantress snapped her fingers, and the ground started to rumble with the power of a dozen earthquakes. All the fairies looked at one another, petrified as what was coming their way. Clusters of vines exploded out of the floor and seized all the fairies in the room. They desperately tried to free themselves, struggling against the plants with all their might and all their magic, but it was no use. The plants were too strong to escape. Esmia roared with laughter as she watched the vines coil around each of the fairy council members and drag them into the ground. Emeralda sank her hands into the ground to prevent the vines from dragging her away. You won't win, Esmia, she said. Oh, yes, I will, the enchantress said, looking down at her with a smile in her eyes. You see, I finally built my own pedestal, but this time, rather than admiration, I'm building it on rock, root, and rage. Whoa! That was intense. Jeez, you guys. What a frickin' scene. Need a sip of coffee after that one. I wonder if I can just show you real quick before she turns around. Nope, she's turning around right as I said that. I shouldn't have even opened my mouth. I was just going to show you what she looks like from behind playing with that thing. I'll have to get a video of it another day. Next scene. Things were as gloomy as ever in the charming palace. All the other rulers had gone home after the happily ever after assembly meeting, except for Sleeping Beauty, who had no choice but to stay. She sat with Cinderella, whose chambers had become quietly comforting to the distraught mother. It's been almost 2 weeks since that horrible woman took my daughter away from me, Cinderella said. I never thought I could feel like this inside. I never thought that I could be so miserable. Sleeping Beauty dabbed at the tears spilling from her friend's eyes. You have to stay strong, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty said. We have to be brave for our people. Cinderella blew her nose into a handkerchief. But who's supposed to be brave for us at a time like this? She asked. When the rest of the world is looking to us for strength and guidance, who do we look to for reassurance? Sleeping Beauty gently took Cinderella's hand in her own. We have to inspire each other, she said. And Cinderella patted her friend's hand and placed her head on Sleeping Beauty's shoulder. There was a knock at the door. Come in, Cinderella said, and Sir Lambton stepped into the Queen's chambers. His face was so long that the Queen knew he wasn't bearing good news. What is it, Sir Lambton? Cinderella asked, bracing herself for whatever it was. More bad news, I'm afraid, Your Majesty, he said. I just received a letter from Sir Grant in the Northern Kingdom. Apparently the Enchantresses attacked the Northern Kingdom last night after attacking the Troll and Goblin territory. They woke up this morning to discover all their crops had been poisoned. Dear God, Sleeping Beauty said, and she placed a hand on her chest. Does the Enchantress have no soul? Queen Snow White has asked that we send whatever we can, Lambton added. Oh, yes, of course, Cinderella said. Gather as much food as the kingdom can spare. The ground under the palace then began to shake. Cinderella's chambers rattled as though something moved through the palace toward her chambers. What on earth? Lambton said, staring down at the floor as it began to crack under his feet. Hi. Oh, hi. Do you need help? What's the matter, my angel? What's the matter? What's this? What's this? There you go. Here. Here. There you go. You can knock that one down. Vines burst through the floor and slithered up to Queen Cinderella and Queen Sleeping Beauty. They wrapped around them and dragged them back where they had come from. Sir Lambton tried to rescue the queens, but it all happened too quickly to prevent. He looked through the cracks in the floor. He could see the vines dragging the screaming queens several floors through the palace until the underground, where they disappeared out of sight. The ground began to rumble again, this time not from something directly below the palace, but from something much further in the distance. Lambton ran over the cracks to a window to see what was causing all the commotion. Miles away, in the northern part of the charming kingdom, a gargantuan pillar made of rock, Root and dirt emerged from the ground and rocketed into the air. The land cracked and elevated unevenly for miles and miles around it. The pillar grew higher and higher, only stopping once it had reached the clouds. A massive colosseum was on the top of the pillar, constructed out of enormous jagged stones shaped like arrows' heads. Vines and thorn bushes grew up the sides of the pillar, taking with them all the rulers they had seized from all around the world. The enchantress sat at the center of the Colosseum on her old fairy council chair like it was a throne. The plants arrived with her guests pinned to them all around the walls at various heights and angles around her. The abducted kings and queens and fairies were now prisoners in Esmia's vengeful, earthy web. True to her word, the enchantress had built herself a pedestal of the deepest parts of the earth, powered by the deepest anger of her soul. Woo! That was crazy, huh, honey? That was crazy. Is it crazy? Are you trying to stand up? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you doing? Wow. Okay, honey. You might not be old enough to stand yet, sweetheart. That was really good. I'm glad that you thought that was something worth trying. Do you need some help? You want to come over here? That was really good. But, like, you know, let's crawl first, okay? Yeah. She's gonna walk before she crawls. She might. That was crazy, right? What a crazy chapter. Welcome to an advanced kid that she could skip crawling. It's true. She grabbed onto this thing and pulled herself up to standing. She was like, I could just hold this and it'll just like... You thought that was... You're right. It was smart. You're right. Objectively, you are correct. Yeah, you are right. That was very intelligent. Why waste my time? This is more efficient. Yes. So this is where we're at, you guys. Look at this. We got like nothing left. We're on page... we just finished page 453 for those keeping track for their Goodreads. Tomorrow is chapter 26, and we really have... We're going to finish this book this week, for sure. Well, you put it there. That's right. I know, Naisa, I know it's so hard, but don't do it. It's worth it, because I kind of remember a little bit of what's coming, and it's going to get cray-cray. She's starting to big sister already. Yeah, right? Seriously. Okay. Should we say bye-bye and go make breakfast? Do you want to make breakfast with Mommy? What do you want to have? She's fine. What do you want to have for breakfast? Do you want to have eggies? Or do you want to have your pancakes that Daddy made for you? Or do you want to have some cottage cheese and tomatoes? Can you guys believe that? Her favorite, like, she loves tomatoes and she loves cottage cheese. So just like me, she can eat cottage cheese and tomatoes all day. And she loves cucumbers. She's a little Italian baby. We will see you guys later tonight. Don't forget we have roll for slime tonight. Yes, you can have breakfast with us too. We have roll for slime tonight. Huh? You're gonna hang out with Daddy while Mommy does roll for slime. Yes. Okay. We will see you guys tonight, 5 p.m. Yeah, a caprese salad for sure. She also loves mozzarella, so you know, not hard. Okay, we will have roll for slime tonight, huh? Disney blind box? Yeah. All right, we'll see you guys later. 5 p.m. our time, Jen. 5 p.m. All right. Bye, guys.